Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Express, which is becoming everyone's favorite talk show. It is profoundly real and interesting, so without any further delay, please help me welcome back to the stage the beautiful and expressive director of Express, Carolyn. Carolyn, take it away.
Well, this is our fourth episode with Dr. Canute Birch. Our fourth episode. This conversation been so interesting about real estate, about the challenges he went through to for where he is now. You have got to go back and watch one, two, and three before you even start watching this, unless you won't get a full understanding of his story. So now we are about to ask him to come back in a stage so that we can continue our conversation. Welcome again. You
Thank
know
you.
how to persevere, and you got it. So
Thank you. Mhm.
we went through all of that, and we're not going to go back all the for you who have just come in to this episode. You've got to go back to episode one, two, three. We now go to talk about four. This episode won't be very long, but it's a conclusion now. So welcome back. Welcome
Thank
back.
you so much. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Karen. Mhm.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I know you've been through so many challenges, so many blocks, but you just keep going. And then recently I know of, I've heard of um more than a challenge to the family. Let's talk about that
Mhm.
for as much as you
Yeah.
want to say.
Mhm. Yes. My older brother Donald, he passed away. When was it? June of last year.
Oh, his time has gone fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite suddenly. With just a little over a week after he contracted COVID. We were on the phone all the time. During that time, and we just didn't see that as even being a remote possibility, as even something that was likely,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But somehow the Lord saw it fit, uh, and we were very close because my brother would come up for Thanksgiving for the last number of years. You know, he would come up for Thanksgiving. He was very helpful to me earlier on when I just came here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he helped me out, helped me to get myself. I mean, not giving me money or anything, but by providing other support for
Support.
me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we became very close over the years, and it was just the two of us here at that time. Until I brought up my another older brother, but younger than Donald.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been close. I live in Tennessee. He lived in Georgia, which was just like about 2 hours away. So he would come up regularly for thing, and for Thanksgiving and just a weekend or whatever. Sometimes they have something, Easter pageant here they call sunrise, that he would come up to once in a while. So and um it's interesting. I always remember this, and I think about it sometimes. I tell folk that he tried to be funny, sometimes things that he would say. So whenever he was leaving, the where we he would stay when he would come here, he would go into the room, grab his bag, and put on his cap, and saying he would say, I'm leaving my hotel room. you know, you,
Yes, to know that he's coming back.
yeah, yeah. He just it was just so funny to hear him say that. He was leaving his hotel room, and now to know that he had left the hotel room for the last time,
Mhm.
is just really sad. Interestingly, he and I had been talking about, you know, real estate, some things. And I have property in Georgia that I was going to do something with him on. Um, and then I switched. I said the market in a, in Atlanta got too expensive, because it was one of the fastest appreciating real estate area in the country.
Mhm.
Maybe in the top four. You know, and it still is, heading north right now. Expected to be the fastest growing for this year, 2023, because of people relocating to Atlanta from
Mhm.
California, from New York, from up north generally, and some from Florida, to get cheaper real estate, which is then putting up the price of the real estate there.
Mhm.
So we were looking at something here, and I suggested to him that one of my properties, I'd sell it to him and then rent it out for him.
Mhm.
And out of the blue, one day he called me and said, "I'm on my way." And I almost said to him, "Don't come," because I mean, I didn't have plans for. But he said he was on his way, and because I work for myself, I just
Mhm.
did whatever was necessary, and he came up, and we toured, and he looked around, I saw everything, and then I remember the last place I took him to. He turned to me and he said, "Boy, you're not joke." I said, yeah, man, and you can do it too. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. He said, "You're not joke," and I just thought that was funny too, because
Mhm.
he was chauffeuring me around, while I was pointing to him where to go from
Yes.
property to property, and I still didn't even show him everything, you know, um, but then he had to go back down, and we made an agreement that I was gonna sell that to him, and he was gonna rent it out. I was gonna rent it out for him and manage it for him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was the last time I saw him alive.
Oh,
Good thing he had insisted on coming,
amen.
because I wouldn't have seen him. I hadn't seen him for months, many months
Prior
before.
to that.
Thing.
Mm.
Or maybe I'd seen him in the December before that, because he
Mm.
had invited my daughter to his church to play the violin for the divine service, and me to do something else, to prayer or whatever. So it's like the Lord wanted us to get, that last
Great.
embrace, that
Mm.
last embrace. And interestingly, when he was in the hospital, I was the only one who got the chance, or I was the only one who got into the hospital to see him.
Because they were restricting, huh?
They restricted. I don't know to what extent they were before,
Yeah.
but,
Mm-hmm.
but I was the only one that got there. And then after that, they shut it down.
Oh.
I got there the Sabbath, almost, I have to say, miraculously, because the way I got into the hospital, I just saw some people walking across from the parking lot, and then we just decided to go that way because we didn't know the hospital. We didn't know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
We got in. When we got to one door, some nurses were coming out, and um, we said we're going to the emergency room, and they just looked at the other and said, like, they made the agreement to let us in. I mean, we didn't know what was going on, and they let us in, and we went in the emergency room. Went, and then we got to, not the emergency room, the ICU, and we got to the door. I told them I was there to see him. I didn't even tell them who I was, that I don't think I told them he was my brother, but they just let us in. And I went in there, asked the head nurse, his nurse rather, if I could go inside his room. They put on the gown, everything on me.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I said I had to go in there and touch him and pray with him,
Mm.
anoint him without oil. And I was able to go in there. As I came to the window, I don't know why, but he moved his head like this, because he wasn't doing anything. He was out of it all along, and we were talking. I was talking with my wife and the nurse. I don't know that that had anything to do with it. And when I went in there, he moved. As I started talking, while I was talking, he moved his head from one side to the other. Wow, and I, was able to touch him, talk to him, rub his head,
Mhm.
and pray over him and put him into the Lord's hand,
Mm.
and say, Lord, your will, whatever your will, because he was intubated, with on ventilator,
Mm.
uh, and that was the last time I saw him alive. You know,
Mm.
even though we couldn't really
Have a conversation.
have a conversation,
But
but
he hear you.
I felt good, and the rest of the family members felt good. My siblings, that I was able
Somebody.
to go there and
Mm.
pray over him,
Yes. Yes.
pray for him, and whatever, and
Mm.
just it just gave me the confidence, as I prayed, an intercessory prayer for him.
For him.
It made me feel good. So
Mm.
we, I've asked the Lord to take care of all his faults,
Mm.
his sins and misdeeds, and just if it's his will that he should go, just take him and save him eternally. So I feel that made me feel very confident.
Mm-hmm.
On
And
top,
hearing is the last thing to go. So most likely he was hearing you.
everybody says that. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So very likely well, yes, he definitely was because he could move his body. You
Mm.
know, even and when the morning when I went to church that Sabbath morning, when I went to his church, when I was in the parking lot, his daughter had called me and told me that they said that the nurse had asked him, they had taken him off the sedation, whatever, sedative, whatever they
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
and she asked him to squeeze her arm, and he did.
Mm.
He didn't say anything because he was intubated, but he was able to do. That's the only communication I've heard,
Other than.
other than when he first went into the emergency room
Mm.
and he was talking gibberish because he had lost oxygen, almost all his oxygen.
Mm.
So he was delirious, or and
Mm-hmm.
totally, confused. So yeah, that's how that went down. They wouldn't. We went back to Sunday, and they wouldn't let us in. Um, and it's like they were appalled that we got in, and they were asking, are you his son or whatever? They said,
Mhm.
so the people who let us in were totally confused, and we
Mhm.
didn't do anything to confuse them because they just didn't ask us any questions.
Christians, right?
We just so I just had to say the Lord opened the way.
Yes, he
And
did.
then I came to find out the following day that the area through which we came was the nurse's entrance, the workers' entrance, and the doctor's entrance.
Wow.
And they let us
That was meant to be. That was
yeah,
meant to be.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know we were all shocked, when we heard. We really were. But I'm so glad that you were able to, give him his last right before he went.
Yes, yes, yes. So, the Lord gives and the Lord takes, and we
Takes.
still
Yes.
bless the name of the Lord. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
I, you know, I was pleased that I had the chance to bless him in different ways over the
Yes.
years.
Mm.
Because even when we went to Jamaica to my mother's funeral, we stayed at the same place. I paid for it. Time before that, when we went, we stayed at the same place. I paid for it. So, yeah, and
So again, to that prayer
yeah,
that you
yes,
pray to God. Yes,
yeah,
that was your way of being
yeah,
the,
yeah.
what's the word? Being the savior.
Yes, what that was a prayer I prayed. You know, no,
God
but
is good. Be careful what you ask him for.
yeah, yeah,
Careful what you ask him for, because
yeah,
he knows our hearts. And if we definitely, he knows, he sees our
uh-huh.
intentions or
Yes,
motives.
mo- mo- most definitely. most
He'll give it
definitely.
to us.
And he does. So, yep, he definitely did.
Yeah.
Um, so
No.
my brother is gone, but thank God for his
Yes.
life.
You feel yes.
Mhm.
So let's move on to NCU's project. Should we call
Okay,
it NCU's project? I don't know how you call it,
NCU
but
Church Complex project. Uh,
project. Okay. You're
Church
involved in that. Yes.
Complex project. So they asked me to be a part of this task force for that. Dr. Neil Reed, he's actually the one that is leading the committee, and
Really?
yeah, and he's the one that
Oh, that's my pastor.
right, yeah. He was at
Yes,
Stone
from
Mountain.
Georgia.
He was
Stone
pastoring
Mountain
Stone Mountain.
Church.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, that's my pastor.
yeah. So he's the one that invited me, and I I decided to do it because I said I'd been praying for some time since COVID. I have not been doing much ministry because of COVID stopped what I was doing.
Yes.
You know, I had a little group here that we used to meet first twice per month, then once per month for 8 years, and we stopped because of COVID. I used to have a ministry at the nursing home for 8 years to COVID stopped that, so I was longing to be involved in some kind of ministry, you know, um, even though this is not much, but except for spending time on a committee and,
Mm.
and
Oh, it's been
listen,
effective. It's been
but
effective. Okay.
right, right. So I accepted because I thought that the Lord is calling me again to do
Mm.
something. So I decided to be a part of it and to divert, or some of the funds I was, sending to other projects that I'm working on. Like I help with a building project at my home church in the country in Jamaica,
Mm.
and I set up a scholarship fund there for kids to go to Adventist schools, all the way up to NCU, and you know, but not much. I would, was able to divide some things that still contribute significantly to those causes, um, which I dearly believe in, and I helped to initiate or totally initiated. Uh, and I have been able to give back something to NCU, not just from my pocket, but also by soliciting others. Because I remember, excuse me, um, in I was able to just go to a neighbor and pitch the project and come back with a check for 25,000.
Wow.
You know, it's just like that. You know,
Mm.
uh, it's just a walk across the golf course, and I came back with a check for 25,000. Somebody who had nothing to do with Jamaica, essentially. I was a
They know
Caucasian,
you. They know you.
you know
They
me,
know what
and
you stand
you know,
for.
I presented the project,
Mm.
and numerous, I mean, several other people have been able to have given since, and even since that thing came out, promoting it with my photo on it and my write up. Uh, Other individuals have told me that they're gonna give, and so I'm happy to participate in that
Mm.
to assist more students
Yes.
to launch so that they can make good of life, make the best of life. It wasn't easy for me. I didn't have that kind of help there. However, the Lord helped me.
Yes.
And if this is how I could help others, I am delighted to do it. It gives me joy. In fact, that's what gets me up in the mornings.
Yes.
That's what gets
Well,
me up
pay forward. Pay forward. Pay
in
forward.
yeah, yeah, it gets me up in the mornings. I typically get up about 5:20, 20 minutes after 5, you know, do my stuff, devotion, whatever. You know, and I said, I need to get up so I can get my day going, get my exercise in,
Hmm.
my jogging, my whatever, walking, power walking. And So I could, by God's grace, remain healthy for the years that I have, whether
Mm.
they be long or not. But I
Mhm.
want to be healthy, and that's a big part of building wealth.
Yes, yes. Health without wealth or
It
wealth without health both go together, right?
is very important to be healthy there
Mhm.
as you build wealth, because in order to keep a straight head, to be able to absorb the information out there, do things, go places, whatever, you need to be healthy. Not to be healthy to stay around to enjoy it, because I'm not even, that is not even, a big part of my goal. Fortunately, because I took a little longer to get married, I was able to travel the world
Mhm.
earlier on, you know, going to the Middle East numerous times, all over Europe, you know, numerous times. So, it's, I'm still interested in traveling. I love traveling, but it's not even the reason.
Mhm.
Those are not even the reason for me, um, doing business and trying to build wealth. It is so that I could help more people,
That's awesome.
help more people, because I want to ultimately set up a huge endowment with millions and millions of dollars in Jamaica. I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars,
Mhm.
so that for a long time to come, even if my children or anybody else never gave anything to it, it will be still there if God doesn't come, and it will still be helping, even by the interest on it, just helping more students to go to school.
He'll
From
grant
what
you that
I've seen,
favor.
from what I've seen, with seeing for the short time, seeing, students who didn't, apparently didn't dream of going to college, went to college, and some of them graduated last May. You know, even when others apparently didn't have any belief in their intellectual ability.
It is. Mhm.
Yeah, they still went and were able to complete. That is really what drove me to start seeking wealth. And so now I don't apologize. I want to be wealthy
Yes.
so that I could help others. I have stuff that I could sit back and ride and live on my laurels,
Mhm.
and whatever. By God's grace, but I want to be able to do a lot of things that I am unable to do right now financially for other people. So I said, I still am saying, Lord, pour it on me,
Yes.
and I will be a conduit.
Well, you have your past history to show that whatever you said, whatever you
Mhm.
asked for and you got it, you did it. So you weren't just saying it. So
Yes,
he will allow you to. Just keep
yes.
trusting in him, just keep being faithful, and things will work out. I
Mhm.
believe that. You're so unassuming though, you don't have a conversation with you, you would never know. But like I said, every time, I always like to hear people's story because you can appreciate them more, you know, when you see how much they've done for others and help others. That's what it's about. So
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for you coming by today and to being so authentic, so transparent. You know, I know others listening will be motivated. I am motivated. I'm telling you, I'm
Mhm.
motivated. I'm inspired by your presentation. Now,
Mhm.
before we end, I always ask the person who I'm interviewing to give me. There's someone in the audience watching you now, Canute, and saying, I want to do real estate, but I don't know where to start. And look, he said, where he started from, I don't know, but how, give 3 points to that person,
Mhm.
or maybe I
Okay.
should give you more points. Let's
Okay.
say
No, no, that's okay. That's okay.
right?
No, I don't know if I
Why
have five.
they should continue to
But
with their dream to be into real estate.
I, I think one of the first things is you really need to have a passion for it.
Yes, yes.
Um, it can become easy, but it is not easy.
Easy, yes. The
You
passion
know,
compels you to go.
yeah, you need to have a passion for it that will make you. It's not like something you're just going to go and pick it up. You have to put yourself in the arena and
Yes,
start going after it deliberately, intentionally.
yes.
And as you do that, that should lead you to reading. It should lead you to listening stuff on about real estate, and it should lead you to associating,
Okay.
right? It should you definitely, you know, need to listen, to read, to associate
Okay.
with other people who are doing
Do
what
the
you
same
want to
thing.
do,
Okay.
going that you where you are going or have been and are where you want to go.
Uh-huh.
You have to do those things. Don't believe that you can just get up and just go there and slam dunk. You will make mistakes, of course, no matter how prepared you are.
Hmm.
But it you owe it to yourself to educate yourself on the business by using the free stuff that's available, which is what I did.
Hmm.
When I got the inspiration, I just started listening to YouTube. And I mean, by this time, I had, some 20 years already owning properties. And,
Hmm.
but I'm talking about when I really decided that I'm going for wealth. It was just recently, a little, maybe about 2 years ago, that I decided that,
Hmm.
uh, and started praying that kind of prayer.
Yes.
And I didn't just pray. I started listening to other people. I started reading. So I was reading, like, sometimes for a month I would read 3, 4 books, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. For the year I would read so many books, literally, and some of them big books, I mean, on hundreds of pages. These are not some on real estate, but not only that. Most of the earlier ones were on self development,
Development.
self improvement.
Improvement. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I learned about myself. And frankly, I picked that part up firstly from
Mm.
insurance business. I went to a lot of stuff. They were big on that kind of thing, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes.
So I started working on self improvement, you know, in every way, not just to sell stuff, but to be, the person that you want to be, so you can be happy about yourself. Among that was emotional intelligence. That was one of the biggest contributors, because I got to understand my emotions better and
Mm.
how I can control them in different scenarios,
Mm.
including business,
Right.
you know, including when I'm doing a transaction, and knowing not to fall in love with a property, but to fall in love with the opportunity that that
Wow.
property presents,
Presents.
so that it must I must be able to follow best practices and identify an exit after a profit,
Hmm.
or an exit that brings a profit. So when I buy a house, I buy it, or buy a property, multifamily or whatever, or land, because I do buy. I don't go around looking all the time for raw land, but sometimes I try to do that in a strategic, in a location where it can appreciate, you know, and be worth a lot more, and I've been I've been successful too, so far. Uh, so I try to just approach it that way and make sure that the different things are in place according to the best knowledge, information that I have of how to analyze a property, to assess it, and
Hmm.
decide whether or not to buy it. And then So those things are very important. Self improvement, self development is critically important. Discipline
Mm,
is perhaps the first thing you need,
mm,
because that's what I had to start developing from earlier on, and I am even more so, working at it now, you know, working on it more so now than before. It's
mhm.
important to be disciplined in every aspect of the word, discipline that you are consistently working at your craft,
Craft. Hmm.
and discipline so that you don't allow your emotions to overtake you, but you
Okay.
pull back and analyze and take a methodical approach that is well calculated. So when you take a risk, it's a well calculated
Thought
risk.
about. Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes. And it doesn't mean
You
that
don't
you,
have any surprises with whatever happens to a
or
certain extent.
if you
Mhm.
do, it is not as bad as it could be.
That's right, because
Uh,
you thought about it before.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. You position yourself so that you can survive beyond that
Right.
surprise.
Okay.
Because you do have them. I've had them. And it doesn't mean that you you cannot come into this, like, as perhaps in any other business, and think that everything is going to be a big win. You're not always going to win,
Hmm.
but you probably can win every time by buying right. You may not win the price that you want. You may not win in certain other, but you probably can win with every purchase
Mm.
if you are careful enough. And a big part of that is making sure you make your profit at the beginning.
Mm.
So you buy a property that when you purchase it, you already have a profit. You're essentially going into it with equity.
Equity. Okay.
So um, as I look back, perhaps all the properties that I bought meet that criterion, or met that criterion, even if I didn't think of it that way
Mm.
sometimes. But yeah, yeah, it's you just buy that way, and that's one of the reasons that especially in recent years, I love buying new construction real estate.
Mm. Because
Because
there's not much work to do. That's
yes,
fun.
it's
Hmm.
all turnkey,
Yes.
and if you do it right, you go in with an equity very light.
Mm.
You know, not so long ago, um, uh, yeah, not so long ago, I acquired a property, and when I acquired it, 2 months after, I got an offer from a real estate agent. A buyer wanted to pay me 80,000 more than I paid for it.
Wow.
Literally 2 months after. Why? Because I followed that principle. I made sure that my profit was there. I knew before I went in,
Mm.
because I saw the growth taking place. I saw the quality of the location,
Hmm.
and knew that people are going to rush it, knew what the market was like. And that's a big thing too. Know the market, know where the market is when you're getting in, whether it's going up or it's going down or it is stabilized and kind of plateaued.
Hmm.
You know, you need to be aware of that. And so, because when a market is heading up, even if you pay a little overpriced, because it is heading up and it's perhaps just taking off, you
Hmm.
will appreciate back into equity,
Hmm.
so that you will be okay, even though I don't advise buying overpriced things, you
Hmm.
know. But even if you did that, it could still work out for you because of the timing, so I did it. I mean, I bought other um new construction property, where by the time I got in there, I had literally multiple six figures in
Mm.
equity, just by by buying right, buying when the market is going. So by the time I turn key on it, I already have, in addition, I mean, not my down payment, I have huge equity in there because I bought right.
Mm.
I followed that principle to make sure I know where my money is coming from. I am making my profit before I close. So you don't have to hang on to your for your dear life on a price in order to make a penny.
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
know when you're ready to
Get
flip it.
offers and say no, you can't take that because it's gone below whatever. I remember those days. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
great.
so these are critical things,
Yes.
and yeah, have a mentor. Yeah,
Mentor.
have a mentor.
Yes.
Don't just associate with people who are doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That is good and very important, but it's also good to have. I mean, if you really want to get big, if you're really serious about getting big, if
Mm-hmm.
you just want to do a little mom and pop thing, and just something for retirement, then that's cool. You can do what you're doing, and you will pay off for your house one day, and you will be able to give a few dollars here and there. But if you're talking about building huge wealth, massive wealth, then you need a coach.
Yes. Everything you do, you need a coach.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have had coaches, not
Mm-hmm.
just one coach, but coaches for
Mm.
real estate,
Okay.
for the last maybe couple of years,
Mm.
paying significant money,
Thousands. Mhm.
significant money for their services, which I expect to
You
take it
got back the money, right?
yes, in different, not only that, but you also write it off in taxes.
Taxes, yes. Yes.
You also write it off in taxes. So all this money that instead of putting everything in capital gains, you writing off in taxes and improving. It's
Right.
helping you to where you want to go, and that's
Yes.
another thing too. Investing in real estate wisely can help you with a, a smart tax strategy.
Mm.
So when you hear some of the individuals in politics talking about loopholes, there are real loopholes. There are real loopholes, that you could say, sorry, that it's like the government is rewarding you for going into business.
Mm.
That's how you could look at what we call loopholes. It's
Mhm.
like a reward from the government for going to business, which
Yes.
helps you to save on taxes.
Okay.
So even as I speak, I am doing something right now, that is costing me thousands of dollars to get it done. But what it's gonna do for me in
The long
saving taxes and also um, providing me cash is significant. You know, but I'm
run.
I'm paying significant money for it to get it done. And you just and I learned that from being coached. You know, and then listening to other people who are doing it too, and advise you to do it.
You're being a coach right now.
I would hope that I could help
Yes,
some.
you are. You are.
I
You
would hope
are.
that
I
I
hope
could
someone out
help,
there is listening.
so to put a little more flesh on it, since you said that,
Mhm.
put a little bit more light on that. If you have a rental property
Mhm.
out there, whatever it is, there is something that you need to be doing, especially if you're getting big and you want to get big. But whether or not so, any rental property, you need to do on the property what they call cost segregation. You need to do, I mean, you can't do it yourself. There are people that you will hire to do it
Okay.
who specialize in this. They'll come in, do what they do, and they will give you something. You take it back to your CPA, and it helps you to uh, accelerate the depreciation on your property. To accelerate, so instead of depreciating over 27 years or 27.5 years, in the case of residential, and 30 years for commercial, you can accelerate that depreciation on the property and get it right up front in your first year. And you can then take that money, reinvest it in more real estate, and instead of waiting 27 years for it to
Mm.
trickle down, you can own more property right up front,
Wow.
just like getting back money from Uncle Sam,
Wow.
getting back money from Uncle Sam, that you may have paid into, especially, you know, um, yeah. And if you have a W-2 in your family, you're filing jointly, and that a lot of the money, perhaps all of the money that they paid in taxes, may be given back to you, because of the cost segregation and the reward that the
Mhm.
government gives for getting into business, and in this specific business, because
Mhm.
it's for this specific real estate
Real
investing
estate business.
business.
Well,
So yeah, and I
I
mean
don't
that's
know. I
just
have a funny feeling we're gonna invite you back on here sometime in the future. Who knows? We might have some budding real estate agents who want to talk with you. You never know. You never know how good this.
yeah.
One more thing I want to ask you.
Mhm,
Challenges. 3 tips. Challenges. You've got the experience. Give us 3 points. Three
mhm,
tips. How do you go when you get your challenges? How you deal with it? How do you think?
mhm. You need to be confident,
Confident.
and disciplined. Just confident of yourself, confident that you're in the right business, confident that you can make this happen, you can work this out. So the biggest nightmare can be ultimately the biggest dream realized. What may blow up in front of you may ultimately become the thing
That
which
needs.
lands you to where you're
Wow.
going. So don't be scared of challenges. When I this subdivision that I told you about, that I did, the most recent one that and that I just did, and which I'm gonna build some new homes on, hopefully, uh, as soon as I get everything worked out with the county. And but I had gone into it with a contractor, somebody I known for over 15 years, and we were even at one time gonna do a huge resort in Jamaica, because he had some 30 years of experience building subdivisions over here,
Mhm.
and had a marina and whatever, and wanted me to come into the marina with him, but because he was an Adventist, I didn't go into it. But I said I could use him as my contract. We became um, friends, and there are times we lost contact over the years, but I found him again, and we were going to go into this together, and I still have more.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Can't hear you.
But this particular, I went to the an agreement. He said I could buy it. I closed on even against the bank.
Well, seems like we've lost Dr. Birch. Seems like we've lost Canute. Internet is still waiting to see if he'll come back. Well, we're sorry we lost him. Oh, he's back. Hang on a second.
Here.
Oh
Okay.
yes. Okay, we don't want to end like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we
we
didn't really hear a lot. We didn't hear a
okay,
lot of your last, but what we'll
okay.
do,
Mhm.
we'll invite you again. Maybe a few months time, you know, we can maybe talk again. What's your thought
Yes,
about that? Yes,
yes, yeah.
yes.
We
But I
could
want you to know
do a short.
this is really a really great conversation because I was really interested in real estate and everything else to hear your challenges and how you dealt with that.
Mhm,
This is really a great conversation. So I
mhm.
want to thank you so much for coming. I know you're busy. I know you're busy. So I feel very honored for you to take
Mhm.
the time out to spend such a long time with us. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that others sat, they listened, and they were inspired and motivated by your your um your story, your story. So until then, I want to say bye-bye.
Okay, bye
This
now.
is Carly
Thank you
saying
so much for
thank
having
you.
me. You know, it
You're
was a
welcome.
pleasure here. Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye
and
now.
all the best in what you're doing here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good, good. Bye bye. You too. Continue. Yes, that was Dr. Birch. Dr. Canute Birch. I give them what they work for. His doctor. Canute, he's fine. He didn't even want me to say doctor, but I said, no, I'm going to say it. That's how humble he is. So this was really a great conversation. We had four episodes out of this. Now, the last quote that I'd like to give, um, it is said that the attributes of a resilient or of resilient people, they are not paralyzed by obstacles life throw their way, and they tend to look at setbacks and failures as learning opportunities to do better. They focus their energy more on things and situations that are within their control. They are committed to the goals they've set for themselves and the pursuit of their dreams. Those are 5 points of attributes of resilient people. Is Canute a resilient person? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he's so unassuming. May God continue to bless him. This is Carolyn saying bye from Express. Until we meet again. Bye bye.